Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right. So it's almost lunchtime. We're talking burritos. We're talking Chipotle. You know, it had a good run. That, big 50-for-1 stock split, kind of helped charge it up into the, probably just a month ago. But we've fallen, 15%. So far in the month of July. We're down to like the 200-day moving average. We haven't been below that for about 8 months. Are you guys seeing any cracks in the data for Chipotle? Because it seems like it's unloved at this point.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of cracking. I mean, the stock has pulled back, like you said. We've got happiness off about 5 points on a year-over-year basis. A lot of people. There was a bit of a controversy is not the right word, but downgrade that a little bit. People talking about the portion sizes and the quality of the food as the menu prices went up, and it got to the point where people were pulling out their phones as their burritos were being made to record them and post on social media. So the worker felt pressure to give them bigger portions. That kind of ended when the CEO finally came out and said, "Look, they're not smaller portions, and our employees can give you a little bit more if you need it." So I think that quelled it a little bit. But for a while, people were a little bit frustrated. It just kind of goes to show you that when you raise prices, people get a little bit, scrutiny goes up a little bit, and they want to see that they're getting value for their dollar. So you can see here they're falling behind a little bit when it comes to the top of the pack. They're doing okay, but Shake Shack is really crushing it. And then when it comes to online ordering, websites, app visits, things like that. The growth that we've seen is actually kind of slowing. So we've got them flat on a year-over-year basis, but actually if you zoom into the month-over-month, they're down about 9 points on this. So Chipotle is definitely slowing down a little bit right now. And some of their competition, Kava, Sweet Greens, they're actually growing right now. So these are much smaller companies, but they're starting to kind of nip at the heels of Chipotle as far as the burrito world. So we definitely see some cracks. I know that last quarter they did some good. I mean, they talked about how their margins went up basically 2 points from around 25.5 to 27.5. Their transactions went up while their prices went up, suggesting that they've got some pricing power. It's either pricing power or just the fact that everybody's going up. So, they're just going to join along and consumers don't have much of a choice. So, I would agree with the markets right now that it has, it's pulled back. I think there's reasons for the pullback. It's just kind of slowed down a little bit. It was dominating for a while, but it's definitely tapped the brakes. Now we're finding ourselves in that that part where you ask yourself, is this a good value? I mean, split adjusted, it's gone from 69 to 53, which is a pretty big sell-off. And now you say, okay, is that too much? At what point does this become, more of a value play? I know they're talking about expanding into Europe and really growing the number of stores. They've got a great product. They're I think the market leader in their space. So, I'm bullish long term, but based on some of the stuff that we've seen just recently, we're not quite bullish on the earnings report. I wouldn't say we're bearish, but we're leaning bullish, but not quite enough to make a trade. The fact that they have sold off, though, it does make them more enticing for sure.
First quarter, Landon, revenue growth 14.1%, same-store sales up 7%. They want to double the number of stores in North America to 7,000. You mentioned they're getting into Europe. They're increasing drive-throughs. They're increasing digital. And I can only state the internal Hinks family credit card data says that Chipotle has never been more popular than it is right now. It's amazing how many times it hits my credit card. So I think, the PE sitting around 56, it's been a lot higher than that in the past. Isn't this, we look at this and we can make up, I don't know if Shake Shack and Chipotle are really comparisons in terms of that, but I look at this, I look at a real good company, sold off post-split after rallying. It's got a nice correction. It's officially oversold right now. Boy, this looks like an opportunity, Landon. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think if you're, for me, long term, if you're thinking long term, I think this is an opportunity. If you're thinking playing the earnings, Again, I'm leaning bullish. Our score on it's plus 12. As you know, like when we get to 20, we like to pull the trigger. So we're not quite there. If you found a way to do a trade that took advantage of some premium, perhaps I could get behind that to the bullish side. But as far as just like hammering it, I'm not there yet on this earnings report. But long term, yeah, I could get myself into shares before the earnings report or even after, based on the price pulling back and them doing so well as a market leader. I just Some of the data that we've got, especially this month over month data, is just a little concerning for me, saying that this isn't going to be just a killer quarter, or maybe the guidance that they talk about isn't going to be amazing. But long term, absolutely. I think they're the one to bet on. I do like them long term, and I like them a lot more at 53 than I did at split adjusted 69.
Yeah, and Landon, I always look at their competitors in the space, and fast food, fast casual, whatever you want to call it. McDonald's has had to come back with their $5 menu. Starbucks stock has been getting killed. Also, is this just maybe a change in trend? Because we've always talked about Chipotle. They had a high valuation because they were able to raise prices and pass it along to consumers. Is it starting to change? Because Starbucks had that same model until about a year ago. McDonald's also, where they're actually starting to pull back on pricing. Is that a concern that consumers, kind of pushing back finally?
Yeah, I mean, I think it wasn't at Starbucks that said that our customers can basically afford it. I'm paraphrasing, but Chipotle is kind of in the same boat. They raised prices, their transactions went up, but it doesn't take much because I talk about the pricing power, and a lot of fast food or fast casual restaurants have raised their prices, probably all of them, and consumers have just kind of had to eat it, no pun intended.
Right.
But now, if one or two start to crack and they start to lower prices, that's gonna gain the attention of the consumer, and they're gonna start moving that way. This is basic free markets. I love it. And so as that happens, then there's going to be more pressure on companies like Chipotle and others to move those prices down. So it ebbs and flows, and right now I think that we're at that point where maybe the companies who can figure out efficiency, or who maybe can take a little bit smaller on the profit margins and get those customers in the door by lowering prices, could win on the short term and then pull people along for the long term. So, again, they're in a great position, and they just have to navigate that. I think efficiency is going to be key for them. I know that, in their last quarterly report, they bragged about how many, I forget what the word is, but how many burritos they're able to make per hour is the highest level it's been in I think 4 years. So that's, they're on the road to more efficiency. And that's great. I think that's going to be the key, because then you can lower prices and compete with everyone else who's going to eventually lower prices. So I think it's a win for the consumer. And I'm just a little bit cautious about this month over month data that we're showing down 9 points. I don't like that. I don't like that the happiness hasn't completely recovered from all of that portion size drama, if you will. But at this price, I'm willing to take on a little bit of a risk long term, because it's getting into that oversold. Is this a long-term value type range? And at 53, I think it is.
Yeah, I saw some of those videos that were going around where people just like walked out. They'd like order a burrito and they'd say, "Hey, you're not putting enough on," and they would just leave the restaurant. All right, great stuff as always. Great data, Landon. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your lunch.
All right.
Not buying it.
Not buying it. Landon Swan, co-founder